Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is Cassandra, and today I'm going to guide you through this intermediate practice that is going to be using 2 blocks. So this yoga with blocks practice is a way for us to become curious about poses and curious about our practice again. So maybe if you've been in a bit of a rut or you tend to practice a little bit on autopilot, this happens to me, when you've been practicing and teaching for a certain amount of time. You might feel like you know everything there is to know about the poses, or you might kind of tune out of your practice and just go through the motions. So we're going to try to shake things up a little bit today and do things differently than you're used to doing them so that we can come back to our beginner's mindset, we can develop a bit of curiosity for our practice, and we can go out of our comfort zones a little bit, where the real yoga tends to begin. So a great mix of flexibility, strength, balance, but also really paying attention to our internal dialogue, practicing mindfulness, and just finding curiosity for our practice again. Obviously, you will need 2 blocks. You can just place them at the top of the mat width distance apart. And we're going to do a child's pose, but with our hands on the blocks to help stretch out through our shoulders a little bit more. I'm going to keep my knees about hip width distance apart, hips towards the heels, and as you extend your arms, I like to have my pinky and my thumb wrapping onto the blocks, and then I'm just melting myself down. So forehead comes down to the mat, and I'm just trying to press my shoulders down while still shrugging them away from my ears. And come to a steady breath rhythm as you feel this opening through your upper body. My intention for you in this class is to get you out of the autopilot mode and when you breathe here, I want you to feel your rib cage expand front to back and also side to side. Take 2 more breaths right here. And we'll meet in tabletop pose, keeping our hands on these blocks. You might need to readjust your stance a little bit so that you have your hands and blocks under your shoulders, just for cat and cow. As you inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze, curl tailbone up. And on the exhale, round and contract chin to chest. And just keep going through these 2 poses that you are most likely used to doing. But can you find something new from this movement? Can you push into your fingertips and knuckles to take the weight out of your wrists? Three more full cycles as you merge your breath with the movement. Creating a little bit more space through the front and back body. And we'll come back to neutral tabletop pose. Really wrap your fingers around the block in your right hand and just lift it all the way up. So bicep is along the ear. This is going to strengthen your right obliques. You need to actively push into your left hand. And set it down. Same thing on the other side. Really grab a hold of that block. Lift it up. You want to keep a slow, steady breath here. And release. Slide your blocks forward a little bit so that we can come into our downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana, lifting your hips up and back and pressing your chest towards your thighs. So you might notice that having a bit more of a lift under the arms helps your heels get closer to the mat. Make use of that by really stretching out through the back of your legs. And let's extend our right leg up towards the sky. Bend your right knee, open up your hip. Get your knee to be the highest point here. And now straighten your right leg again. And see if you can bring your right foot kind of in a tree pose variation in this downward facing dog. So my right foot is resting to the inside of my left leg. And I'm going to come forward into plank pose, shifting Vashisthasana to the left. You're going to lean onto your left leg, onto that left block. So Vrikshasana, Vashisthasana, tree pose in your side plank. And you can extend your right arm, bicep along the ear, lifting up tall. And we'll come from here into our low lunge. So right hand comes back to the block, right foot steps between the palms, and the back knee comes down. Release. And just let your hips melt here. Roll your shoulders back. And you can tuck the back toes under if they're not there already. We're going to take a wide variation of our pyramid pose. And you can always change how you have your blocks here. If the floor feels like it's a little bit too far away, prop yourself up a little bit more and fold on down. And you can absolutely have a bend in that front knee here. It doesn't need to be perfectly straight. Just trying to open up through our hamstrings. And I like having them on my highest level with the blocks. I'm going to walk them forward a little bit so I can step to the top of the mat into my forward fold, Uttanasana. Halfway lift, flat back, lift and lengthen. And exhale to fold. Grab a hold of your blocks in any way and just come all the way up to stand, lifting up. So in this mountain pose, you're going to take one block and you're going to place it in between your upper inner thighs on the thinnest way, and the other block on the widest section between your palms, and you're going to extend your arms up overhead. So your hands end up being about shoulder width distance apart. I want you to squeeze your block as much as you can with your inner thighs, and I want you to push your palms like a good 5 pounds of pressure into that block. And we're going to lean into a side bend over to the left. Keep squeezing and pushing. Come all the way up and lean over to the other side. Standing side bend, push into the block. Notice how this changes the pose. Coming back up and through to center, Utkatasana, your chair pose. Bend into your knees, rock your weight back into your heels, and we're going to reach our arms and our block as we twist over to the right. Inhale back through to center. Twist over to the left. Back through to center. And you can bring your block and your palms to your heart here. Really push in. We're coming from here into Navasana boat pose. So lowering down and picking the legs up. So let's play around a little bit here. See if you can bring your block and place it in between your feet. Squeeze your feet against the block to hold it. Into your low boat. So you're hovering off the mat. Keep squeezing and holding your block. Come all the way back up, bend your knees, grab your block again. You can do this. Squeeze into that block with your knees bent. And we're going to cross, twist over to the right. And twist over to the left. And let's release. Bring your feet flat to the floor and release your blocks. So from here, I'll give you an option. You're either just going to sit with your right shin in front of your left one, or you can cross and stack one shin on top of the other. So I have my right ankle over my left knee, right knee over my left ankle. And I'm going to stretch my arms and my blocks out in front of me to encourage my chest to melt down and stretch through the upper body. So starting to find your breath rhythm again. This is an activating practice. Switching things up a bit, but try to really stay present to your experience. My favorite phrase lately has been curiosity over judgment. And go ahead and lift your upper body up. You're going to uncross your legs, feet flat to the floor. I'm just going to shift back a little bit because I'm too far forward. We're going to do reverse tabletop pose, but on our blocks. So hands go back behind you, push your feet into the floor and squeeze and lift up. Into our L sit pickup. So you're going to straighten your legs and shift your hips back and see if you're able to lift up your legs, squeeze tight through your core and release all the way back down. Let's fold forward. I'm making this a passive yin style forward fold. So I'm not flexing, not pushing. I'm letting my spine round and I'm softening into it. You're welcome to do a more activating and engaged forward fold. About 3 more breaths here. Slowly rolling up inch by inch. Grab your blocks. We're going to make our way back to downward facing dog. So you can cross at your ankles, place your hands down, lift your hips up and back. And you either can stay here or you can take a vinyasa if you'd like. Inhaling forward through plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, your upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog, lifting it up. Let's reach our left leg up to the sky. Second side, bend your left knee, open up your hip. Just get a nice thigh stretch here. And then you're going to straighten that left leg and bring your left foot somewhere alongside the inside of your right leg. We're going to come forward into plank and then over into our tree pose side plank. So lean to the right and reach your left arm up, pressing your hips up as high as they can go. And maybe reaching left arm alongside your ear. Into our low lunge, left hand comes down, left foot steps between the blocks, back knee comes down to the mat. So if you've noticed the way that I've sequenced this, we have a few poses in a row that are really heat building, really activating, really require strength, but then you get a little breather and an opportunity to reconnect. So even though this is a challenging practice, can you stay with it? Can you stay curious as opposed to judgmental? And with the back toes curled under, you can lift your back knee off the mat, straighten that front leg, and you can change how you have your blocks here if you'd like. I like to have them on their highest level. Makes this pose a lot easier. Try to keep your hips squared to the front of the mat. I know that's very, very challenging. We're going to bend into our front knee just so we can step to the top of the mat and you can bring your blocks with you. Uttanasana, forward fold. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Inhale, flat back. And fold. Come all the way up to stand. Bring your blocks with you. So just like last time, one block goes in between your inner upper thighs. The other one goes between your palms on the longer edge. Lifting up, push your hands into your blocks. Keep your rib cage pressing in, squeeze, really squeeze with your inner thighs. And this time we're gonna bend into our elbows. Bring your block behind the back of your head. Keep squeezing and pushing as you lift up and over. A little bit of a back bend here. So engaging the upper inner thighs is one of the ways that we can protect our spine in back bends. Super important. Lifting up. And come all the way back through to center. Straighten your arms. Utkatasana, chair pose. Breathe deeply here. And this time, let's twist over to the left. So reach the block down and back. Up through to center. Switch sides over to the right. Keep squeezing your thighs against the block. Lift all the way back up. And you know where we're going with this. We're lowering down into our boat pose. Lifting up through the legs, and just use and place that second block between your feet. Really squeeze against it. Lift your arms up. Low boat. Back to boat. Bend your knees so you can grab that block again. Keep your knees bent. Twist over to the left. And to the right. Back through center and release. Grab your blocks. Let's find that fire log pose on the second side. So easier version is to just bring your left shin staggered in front of your right one and fold. Otherwise, you're going to stack your left shin on top of the right, also sometimes called square pose, which is funny because it's more of a triangle shape. Extend your arms out, crawl the blocks out in front of you, and fold on down. Letting go. Two more breaths. You can lift yourself back up. We're going to take our reverse tabletop pose with the help of our blocks. Feet flat to the mat, hands shoulder width distance apart. Squeeze through your glutes as you lift on up. Into our L sit, trying to hover up and off the ground. You're going to straighten your legs, send your hips back, push your hands into the blocks, squeeze and lift. And release on down. So instead of doing the same forward fold, I'm going to take a straddle fold instead. And still making this more of a passive fold in my case, just letting myself naturally round. Letting gravity do the work for me here. Two more deep belly breaths. Lifting yourself back up, bend into your knees. We're going to come into our last downward dog, last vinyasa. Hands on the blocks at the top of the mat. Make your way there and either hang out exactly where you are or take this one last flow from plank to lower into your back bend. Roll your shoulders back and lift your hips up and back. Stretch it out here one last time. And let's bring our knees to the floor, starting to slow things down. We have two blocks, so we might as well go into supported fish from here. First block goes in between shoulder blades or towards the upper back. And the second block supports the back of your head. And you can do this with your arms and legs straight out, or you might prefer to do your butterfly pose. Soles of the feet together, knees fall apart. There is another alternative where you can reach your arms up overhead. Just make sure this isn't too much for your shoulders, your arms, and even kind of like in your mid-back. I'm just going to keep them wide and down. So a challenging little flow. Start to notice the effects of your practice. Feeling where this is resonating in your body. Three more breaths. We'll be coming from here into supported bridge pose. You're only going to need one block for this. So you can move one off to the side and just come down to lay on your back. And start maybe just at the first or second height of your block as you place it underneath your seat. Really make sure it's not under your lower back. Although some people really like that variation. For me, it feels off for my sacrum, so I prefer to keep it kind of underneath more of my tailbone. You can play around a little bit at home, but we're just looking for a gentle inversion, getting our hips higher than our heart. Shrug your shoulders down and away from your ears. And just take a few moments here to ground in. And if you had your block on its second level, let's all place it on the lowest level, so it's not quite as high. And you can pull your right knee to your belly and straighten your left leg out in front of you. Knee to chest, stretching through that left thigh. And let's switch sides. Pull your left knee in towards your belly. Straighten your right leg, really reaching out through your right heel, trying to push it into the mat. And we'll release, let go of your blocks. Find Shavasana, our final resting pose together. Letting yourself be fully supported and completely leveled to the ground. Relax your facial muscles as you close your eyes. And get so heavy here. A little bit heavier every time you breathe out. And we'll stay here for just a few minutes in silence and stillness before coming out and closing our practice together. Let's breathe a little bit deeper. Wake yourself back up with a little bit of movement. Stretch your arms up overhead. Really stretch out here. And you can turn to one side, lifting on up. And taking a seat. Let's bring our palms together at the front of the heart. Settling in. Take a moment to really honor yourself, to thank yourself for persevering, for being willing to do things differently. And let's chant Om together one time. Inhale to chant, breathe in. Thank you so very much, everyone, for doing this class with me. Do let me know how it went. Leave me a comment before you go. If you don't subscribe already, please do so. And hopefully I'll be seeing you on the mat very soon.